All right, cool. Well, I'll get started because I reckon that might be it. All right. So, as you know, my name's Son, and I established with Michael. I'm from Southeast London originally, like Kent way, really. That's all where I was brought up. I'm a middle child, and I've got an older brother by a couple of years and a younger sister. I'm an uncle 4 times over, which I love. And yeah, my family, I'm part Turkish Cypriot, part Irish, bit of a mongrel, and definitely come from like a working class background, but have sort of made my way up. I guess as the middle class has become a lot bigger for a lot of hard work. I guess that's sort of like where we sit in the world. Um, yeah. Sort of just saying that because I guess like there might be some things you relate to, or just to get a bigger picture because you don't really get all of that on Instagram. If that's where you've seen me, which I think you guys have. Um, what I'd like to do to start with is I do a lot of men's circles. It's something I do, and it's something I take from there. Is like a little check-in we do at the start of the evening, and it's just a chance to let people know where we're at. So you could use the chat here, and it's a okay, cool, cool. I wonder if you can hear us for now. Anyway, hopefully you can hear us. Anyway, we'll carry on. So yeah, so the check-in would normally be saying where we're at, where we are in the world, which we've already established that. Michael, you're saying you're in Brighton and Daventry, um, Motorola. We'll find out where you are maybe shortly. And then the other thing we do is describe like where we're at. We use one or two words to say how we're feeling. And these don't have to be feeling words. These can be like associated with like how we are like right now. So if I was to pick a word, um, I'll probably sound a bit nervous. I haven't done one of these for a year. Yeah. Um, but I'm also buzzing. So I'm probably just somewhere between nervous and excited because it's just great. It's great to do this stuff. So yeah. If you want to drop anything into the chat to say where you're at, the reason I do this is I ask for it from guys to practice it, is to take up space, is to exercise our voice. Um, as men, there's a script to head down, provide, protect, soldier on, um, and we don't relate to our feelings as naturally as well. What's going on for us? We can be lone wolf syndrome. That's definitely something part of my journey. So that's why I do this to and a chance to feel heard, seen, and yeah, and share. It's as good as hearing how another man's doing as much as a chance to talk about where we're at. Uh, so, um, as I said, I'm living in France. I didn't actually quite get to say it to yourself, Jason. Yeah, I'm in France now, in Chamonix. You might have noticed I'm in a camper van. So I've been here only for about 9 months, but I've been in the van and moving around for about 3 years now. And I just decided about a year ago I visited here, and this felt like the right place to put in roots and to stay put for now. And it's starting to feel a little bit like home. I'm settling in. But going back to my upbringing and how it all started for me, um, as I said, there's my family. They're quite like a working class construction. That's what I was born into. I saw around me. By the time I was 22, I didn't have a career. I was, and the most obvious thing for me that I saw around me was to get a trade, get something like that. By that point, I was already been working in warehouses, working on construction sites. Um, I've been backpacking a lot. recruitment. I even did a bit of modeling. I was the classic guy who just didn't know what to do with himself and had no clear direction. At school, I was like okay. I wasn't like a bad kid, but I wasn't really into it. And I just didn't want to be there. I was quite interested in drama, but my parents like couldn't really relate to it. So I ended up going into doing business studies, which couldn't have like bored me like anymore. What I was good at, I worked out from a young age, was working, and I had a paper round by the time I was 12. And I think by the time I was 15, I had a second job. I liked it. I like being independent. I like earning money. I like being able to have my own autonomy and save and be able to buy things for myself. I grew up in quite a materialistic like household, friends and family around. It was quite status driven. Nice life was quite desired and even like respected. Being independent by the time I'd left school and all that, I was 18, 19. I went to Canada to do a snowboard instructor's course. Instead of following the other guys after that, going to New Zealand, I was quite, by the bright lights back in London, I could see my friends starting to earn money, having a good time. And I went back there instead for that, rather than carrying on the adventure. And I was definitely tempted by like the money, the cars, fun with girls, all this sort of status stuff that I could see that I'd seen around me for a long time. So in my 20s, I was doing what a 20-year-old should do. I was having fun, okay, and going out, having a good time with friends, but I was following the crowd for what to do. I was making sure like I was fitting into what I saw around me. And there was a lot of chasing external success, chasing like dopamine hits, having lots of fucking fun, in a way that it was it was insatiable. Um, and this is at the same time when I got a trade and I learned to be a plumber. And by the time I was 30, I had my own business with a business partner, and I was quite following the script for get a missus, have kids, get a house, marry, settle down. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a plumber or doing any of that. That's all absolutely cool. But I was living on autopilot, okay? I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it because that's what I saw around me, and that's what society said so. And the society model does work to an extent for sure, but I wasn't questioning it. I was kind of living like a puppet, going along to get along, fit in, be part of the crowd, rather than following or even questioning like what my strengths are, what my passions are, what do I want. I wasn't finding my own voice in what I wanted. See, this is where the internal wobble comes that I see many men I speak to, they get to. They've lived the life to fit in and please others, to be accepted by others, driven by a fear of not being part of the group, losing a relationship, not wanting to rock the boat. And it's like wearing a mask for a decade or two or three before we come up for air. When we don't build like a strong sense of self, a deep, calm confidence in who we are, what we stand for, we tend to live to please, to avoid uncomfortable situations where we may be required to speak our true thoughts or feelings, what's going on inside. And we often unknowingly avoid discomfort, minor conflicts, maybe ruffling a feather. Because arguing or hard conversations, they are, they feel wrong or bad to us. And the internal message is that it could result in us being stranded alone, which is obviously a primal thing. And this is called self-abandonment, abandoning expressing our true selves as a safety mechanism. So we get what we need from others rather than giving it to ourselves. And this results in a feeling where many men, like I say, they get to either they have a slow purr through life, which is pretty common, that starts creeping up around in the 30s, 40s. They feel like they're living someone else's life and stuck for how to change theirs. And sometimes they have the big like moment, maybe a breakdown or a relationship breakup like I did, some sort of grievance, or just turning 40 can do it. This realization. And this becomes the trigger, that feeling of something has to change. So we go looking. It's like, what am I doing? I feel flat, lost, disconnected from the guy who I was. What life am I living? So maybe you can relate to this part because this is the moment in our 30s and 40s, and it's a realization. It's not a crisis, it's an awakening, and it's like a beautiful sign, a chance to wake up. So I just want to say, if you are relating to this, I know it's quite heavy. You're not broken, right? You're exactly where you're meant to be. I'm a little bit spiritual these days, so I really do believe everything happens for a reason. My big changing moment for me, I was turning 40 and the business had been running for 10 years. Everything was going swimmingly. I had the countryside house with a white picket fence, the classic car on the drive, lovely holidays. From the outside, life looked fine. But on the inside, I was riddled with anxiety. I'd been on medication for a couple of years. I'd had bad back pain for a couple of years. Um, I'd been seeing a therapist for for about 7 months, right? And the wedding I was supposed to be having was 6 months away, okay? And I'd be secretly going to therapy without her knowing. And I just had this strong feeling inside that something wasn't right in the relationship. And I was like, is it me or is it the relationship? And I took a opportunity, a moment, and I broke up the relationship. And we cancelled the wedding, this big wedding we had planned in Ibiza and booked everything. We cancelled it. And the funny thing was, if it wasn't actually for COVID, we would have been married, but we had to put back the wedding a year. Um, and at the moment when we put it back a year, I wasn't disappointed. Inside, I was like, I've got another year to think about it, whether I'm with the right person or not. So I was having this internal battle and just this simmering of anxiety just carried on all the way through. But this moment when I listened to this feeling inside that something's got to change, it was like the first time I'd listened to my gut. I wasn't a man that goes by instinct. I was very much, I don't know, matter of fact, logical, very much in my brain, very much thinking like that, the way most guys are in our heads. And I remember that feeling clear as day. Like, wow, that's like there's like an inner intelligence in there or something. And so, yeah, this was the massive turning point, but I had no di idea the direction it was going to take me in. Um, the period after really surprised me that then I thought I was going to bounce out of this relationship and be like, all right, the time's right. I'll meet someone else. That one didn't feel right. But I was feeling lost, alone, like low, really low and really alone. And it was confusing because I was the one who wanted the breakup, but here I was the one who was really struggling, feeling disconnected. And I remember sitting in my garden of the house before we sold it and sitting there with like a big gin and tonic in one hand, phone in the other, downloading Tinder and just being like, what's going on? But I was terrified to make this move, thinking, I'm like, just I don't know who I am. I've not got the confidence to like go forward with this. So, like I say, I couldn't work it out. My confidence was at rock bottom, and I felt super alone. And I kept talking to my business partner about it, and he was fantastic. And so I got out of the business, and I'd already sold the house by this point, got rid of all my stuff, and I went traveling. And I went off searching. And I remember one customer as I was leaving before I went. He was a really nice older guy that I was trying to get any bit of wisdom I could from him. And I remember him saying to me, "Hope you find whatever you're looking for." And I was like, "What's he talking about?" And I realized I didn't know what I was looking for, but I felt like I was going to find myself. Is the like with hindsight now, but I was trying to find somewhere else to live, trying to find my tribe of people, trying to find somewhere else I could fit in. And after about 9 months, I was thinking, I'd thought for a while, I was like, I'd quite like to become a life coach. I'd had coaching by this point. I'd had plenty of therapy. And my passion from my journey I was going through, I was like, I want to work with men. And I happened to catch up with a friend back home in London. And he was like, oh, you should speak to so and so. That's exactly what he does. I was like, wow, I didn't realize it's a thing. I thought to come up with an idea that didn't exist. So that was it. I had no idea, but this was the point where things really started to change because through the coaching, I become aware of all my behaviors, my patterns, everything that's been holding me back, stopping me from getting what I want in life. And it's a long old process it was because you're talking like 30, 40 years of behaving a certain way, believing in certain things. I had a lot to unpick, a lot to learn, a lot to practice. I learned that I was a people pleaser, that I went into relationships for validation, acceptance, low self-worth, trust issues, scared of confrontation, and difficult conversations as a start. So aside from like this real deeper stuff and the relationship issues, the work for personal identity and getting confidence within, building self-trust, love, respect, and all of that comes started with carving out, working out my unique direction, working out, answering the big question, what do I want my life to look like? Because up until then, I'd lived for acceptance from others to find outsourcing my validation and love. So it was a case of learning to find that from internally by living aligned with what meant most to me. And this is where I see so many men stuck. Okay. The first step coming back to men the self yourself is working out what is most important to you. Because when you start living aligned with what is most important to you, what lights you up, what is most important, right? You're then authentically turning up for yourself for the things that are most important for you. And you're building a foundation, a pattern of turning up and showing up for you rather than someone else. Because you know what you stand for and what your priorities are. You become your priority. You learn to put your wants and needs out clearly in front of others. And you learn to move away from the fear of standing out and being unique, because that's what holds us back. You might already realize or be able to think of someone, those sort of guys that do assert themselves. They don't get walked over. Kind of have a respect for those guys. I've got a couple of mates like it. And it's to turn up to sort of become this kind of person who's got their own back and knows what they stand for. So midlife isn't a crisis, it's an awakening. It's a time to learn new stuff, start living in a way aligned with what you want, because you likely learn that it didn't feel safe to express your wants, your needs when you were young. So if you can relate to this, which if you're here, maybe you can, it is time to find out what you really want, to learn to prioritize you so you get more of what you want. The men I've worked with so far are unlikely similar to yourselves, if you can relate to what I'm saying. They're normal guys who fell into a life because society said they should or what they saw around them. And they got to a point, maybe just like yourselves, and thought, this isn't working. I've read the books, podcasts, um, and watched all the YouTube videos. But if I keep doing the same, I'll keep getting the same results. So if you're here tonight, it's quite likely you can relate to part of what I've said, and you don't end up on a webinar like this by accident. Okay. So some level of awareness of what's going on for you, I imagine, is already there. So it's just a question of what you do next. Okay. Either is fine. Everyone does it at their own pace. But if you're likely here, you're likely to have started your journey. You're inquisitive to make a change. So let's take a breather for a second. I've got another little exercise we'll do. I was going to do it at the beginning because there's only three of us, four of us. I thought maybe I'll wait. So part of the work we do is like mindfulness or centering exercises, nervous system regulation, whatever way you've heard it, and calming ourselves. So probably after listening to me rabbit on for 20 minutes, we probably need to calm ourselves down a little bit. I know I could do with taking a minute. So yeah, we'll do just like a little thing to calm ourselves down, get ourselves out of our head, and calm our body. So I invite you, if you want, you can turn your camera off for a minute. But I invite you to sit up comfortably in your chair. Just be a few minutes. I invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you breathe out through your mouth, let it all out. And slowly close down your eyes. And just feel your body get a bit heavier and drop into your chair. And just take another one of those deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. And just let go of whatever you might be holding on to there. And just feel the weight of your body, your bum connection to the chair. And just get acquainted with your normal breath going in and out. You might feel your chest going up and down, your belly going in and out. Maybe the air going in and out through your nose. With each out breath, you might just feel your body relax a little bit more and become a little bit heavier in your chair. Just that connection through your feet and your rear end get a little bit stronger to the ground beneath you. And you might notice you might be holding a bit of tension, maybe still in your face, in your eyebrows, in your jaw, cheeks, maybe your shoulders might want to drop a little bit. We store so much up in our shoulders. And now your arms might feel quite heavy, hanging off the shoulders, sitting in your lap, on your legs, way down. And by now, you might feel more relaxed. And your rear end connecting to the ground beneath you. And we'll just do a little box breathing exercise. I'll count and guide through. We'll breathe in for 3 seconds, hold for 3, breathe out for 3, and hold for 3. And we'll do a couple of rounds of it. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. We'll start in a few seconds, breathing in. 3, 2, 1, breathe in. 2, 3, hold. 2, 3, out. 2, 3, hold. 2, 3, and in. 2, 3, and hold. 2, 3, and out. 2, 3, and hold. 2, 3, and you can just go back to your normal breathing Feel the rhythm of your chest or your belly in your own time. You can come out of this and just you might want to roll your shoulders or stretch your back or your neck or your face and just slowly come back to the room. And then there were three. Nice. Cool, guys. Hope you're feeling a bit more relaxed after that. Feel like I needed that. Cool. So we're going to do a little live question. Okay. I don't want you to overthink it. Obviously, you might need a small bit of brain power for sure. Just sort of answer with whatever comes up at first for you. And if you're comfortable, pop it into the chat below. What's the one thing you'd want said about you at 80 years old that you're not currently living? What's the one thing you'd want said about you at 80 that you're not currently living? Might be just a word, short phrase. That's quite cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, cool, man. Cool. You can save it for later, you know. It's not quite a nice one to ponder over.
Yeah.
For sure. What I'll do, I'll cut and paste it into the chat now. When you come out with things like that, an answer to that kind of question, that's more than anything I can tell you. That's something true that's coming up for yourself. I can tell you all about my journey, what's most important to me, what my priorities are, but this is what it's about. It's about what's your truth, what's real for you, what's most important to you, and living aligned for that. We're so easily influenced by others around us, by society, by media. Um, yeah, there's so many there's so many other influences that don't get us living aligned with what's important to us. So this isn't a hard sell, this. I do want to talk about how you can work with me as a go on a journey with myself. I offer a one-to-one coaching and an 8-week program is where most guys start with me. A lot of guys end up carrying on because there's a lot of work that it does carry on. And the program's called Man on Purpose. It starts with getting crystal clear on your direction and your why, so you know where you're going. And then with this, we create a map with actual steps involved to take you towards your direction, where you want to move in a practical sense. Then working out the mental blocks, what's getting in your way. There's going to be years of programming of beliefs that are holding you back, doubts, an inner critic, these voices that we don't realize they are always ongoing. Then there's nervous system regulation, kind of like what we did, gets out of our head into our body, create more presence and calm so we can deal with what goes on around us. We have more bandwidth. Then there's relationship skills and knowledge. All the work to start with is all working on ourselves to make sure we're the best version that then comes back into the relationship. But then there's actually relationship skills that we don't get taught at school or probably unlikely from our parents that at some point we do need, they come in handy to know. So that's a big part of what I do. Healthy masculinity, how to embody a man in this modern world. A lot of all the work up to this point in the course would build up to that, embodying healthy masculine traits that will get you more of you want and become a better man for yourself, for society, for your children, for your partner, and for work as well. A lot of this is not just about relationships at all. It's also about ourselves and going back into whatever our career is. And then it's about accountability, being consistent, showing up, taking responsibility for the work ourselves. And I am your coach, supporting you all the way through it to help you with that. And like I say, it is a lot to cover in 8 weeks, and guys end up staying with me for longer because it's not a quick fix. It is work for life. And it once you get going, you see how it unravels to wanting to get the most out of your time. Um, yeah. In this program, what I do is basically what I learned 3 years ago with my mentor, my coach, my trainer, and it's what he's done with hundreds of guys. And I've modified it to make it my program that then I've run it with the guys that I work with. Okay. So if you're interested in that, you can send me a DM after or an email, let me know you're interested, and we can jump on like a discovery call or to talk it through further. Um, so before I finish up, I've got a little takeaway for you. You can add it to the other question I like to do. It's not another email or like a download, although I can email you the questions. To be fair, it'll probably be easier, but I'll put them in the chat. So there's 3 questions for like journal questions, okay? And they are ones to sit and have with your coffee or when you have a bit of quiet time, whether it's in the car on the way to work or when you've got a bit of time for yourself in the morning to sit and really like see what comes up. Yeah, for yourself, not with the influence of others. So the first one is what am I doing right now that isn't really for me? The second one, if I stop performing for everyone else tomorrow, what would actually change? And what's the one thing I already know I need to do but haven't? And that's it. There's no such thing as right or wrong answers. It's about writing what comes up and what's true for you. I'll copy them into the thing now. But if you want to take them out of there, but I can just email them as well, to be fair. That's it. All right, guys, that is it from me. Um, any questions at all, or any comments, or yeah,
Hey, well, first of all, thanks, on. That was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was great hearing your story and learning more about the journey you've been on with it all.
thanks,
And
mate.
yeah, I guess I've scribbled a few things down as we were going. I thought it might be nice to check in with you about because you spoke a lot about people pleasing being your particular crux at that moment when you discovered that.
Mm,
Is that common? Do you see that a lot? And is that one of like just a few alternative varieties? Are there's like a whole range out there? Is that
yeah,
really just one, or is it quite a common one?
it's a very common one. Yeah, it's a very common one. Yeah, putting others before us. It's so common that I've solely focused on people pleasing quite a bit when like through my like social media stuff because so many guys relate to the people pleasing. And for me, yeah, it was a really big thing to realize that I can give you an awesome book recommendation if you relate to people pleasing, and it's a absolute game changer it can be probably to my like my webinar, it can be pretty hard hitting, book, but it's written so well. It's got like cool exercises in it to do. It's called, I can send it to you. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover. Have you heard of it or?
Think so, yeah. No, I've recognized the title.
Okay, yeah, really, really good book on it. Um, and it's about learning, overcoming people pleasing. It's about not putting other people's needs first, about learning to put our needs first. And there's so much to it. We work in covert ways to please others, and we're working in covert ways to get our needs met. A classic one from that you'd see in that book, to give you a bit more, is he calls them covert contracts. If I do this, then you will do that. And it's a classic people pleasing behavior that we overgive. We overgive and we just keep giving, but really what we're wanting, like quite likely wanting acceptance, love, or stuff done for us, I'll do
Yeah.
this for you around the house if you do that for me. Oh, I'm doing all these things. I don't get anything back, It's constantly giving, 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 trying to please, trying to be, yeah. Um,
Awesome. You know what? I think I'm the opposite. I don't know. Is there an opposite? What's the opposite of people pleasing?
People pleasing, yeah. So you've got like a rebel as well, okay? So it's like a close like brother of it, and the people pleaser will be constantly trying to do as much as possible, whereas the rebel is trying to avoid going into those situations to get what they want. So it's a bit of a backhanded one because they don't really get what they want either because they're not clearly expressing what they want. Um, yeah.
I think that might be more me. I don't know. I have to stop and think about it a little bit, but I think that's
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Yeah, man. Right, anything else down you wanted to ask?
Um, you spoke about centering exercises. What are they?
Okay, cool. So kind of like what we did. So coming back to it's hard to know how much jar of this jargon, this self-help jargon to use, all right? So centering exercise is um probably the best way, the other way I described it, getting it out of our head and calming ourselves into our body, okay? We spend most of our day just thinking, doing, solving, taking like obstacles, stress, and that's like it's all in our head, okay? Although our body feels it as well, we're not really aware of that. So we spend all day in our heads, and it's just hectic, it's stressful, gets overwhelming, anxiety, and all that comes from there. So to come back to our center is to come back into our body, right? By centering in our body to come back into calm. When you can sit with your breath, breathing, like the little breathing exercise we did, or even just taking a few deep breaths and really just exaggerating that sigh, letting it out, really fucking enjoy it. Like this. No, that's you going, letting go of like, that's why we do it at the end of the day. You get home, you go, fuck that. You're just blurting out like all that, like we've built up through the day, all that tension and that stress. You're like, you just sink back into your armchair. Your brain's switching off at that point, and you're coming down into your body, into quiet mode, into your center. So centering exercises like meditation and breath work are really like sort of popular, I guess, on the more woo-woo or deeper end of it. But like going for a walk, for my anxiety really bad, I used to find by the time if I go for a walk, if I walk for about, everyone's different, about half hour, 45 minutes, I start leaving behind what I've done, and I'm like, no, I feel good now, listening to a podcast, diving into, I mean, it's a bit of just more of a distraction technique, but can bring a bit of calm. Something, or listening to calming music. Yeah, calm music can calming our nervous system, which I'll save for another day.
Got it. Nice one. Thank you.
Cool, man. Cool. Sweet, guys. Well, we didn't find out who Motorola was. Hope maybe you got to hear something. But yeah, cheers for joining us. Really appreciate you guys being here. like I say, I didn't. The turnouts aren't always big on these webinars, so two out of, and I'm going to send the recording. I think four people asked me to send it to them, so that'll be more than actually were turned up. If you were interested in getting on a call and having a chat, send me a DM or a quick message to say you're interested, and yeah, we can just like discover a bit more, chat a bit more. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank
Awesome,
you.
Simon. Thanks again.
Cheers, guys. Really appreciate you being here. Have a good rest of your
Nice one.
evening. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye.